NFL insider Jeff Darlington appeared on ESPN on NFL Live, and he talked about what he's been hearing around the Miami Dolphins situation and where they stand on signing Tua to an extension, and this is what he had to say. The Dolphins are not offering the contract that is the market value based on those other deals that were done. They are not in the Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence ballpark, and that to me speaks volumes about where negotiations are right now. Now, Tua is basically one of the next quarterbacks up. He's probably the next in line to get a massive contract extension, and the Dolphins have always said that they want to pay him. They just are wondering what is his actual value worth, which leads to this question. What do you think the Dolphins should do surrounding Tua Tagovailoa and his impending, I'm going to assume, impending extension?
I think he's an okay quarterback. I don't think they should give him the big contract right now. I think they should let him play this year. If he has a great year, then they could put him on the franchise tag or try to negotiate a deal with him. His career took off when Tyreek Hill arrived. And I think Hill is the guy that is really the most important player on the Dolphins. He had his career best in catches, his career best in receiving yards. He would have gotten 2,000 yards if he hadn't gotten hurt against the Titans. I think the Tua and the Dolphins need Hill a lot more than Hill needs the Dolphins and Tua, because his average per reception, his receiving success rate, his yards per target, his catch percentage, all were the highest when he was with the Kansas City Chiefs, not with the Dolphins. So I think that Tua is the guy that ought to be getting the big. Make sure you're making him happy. I'm sorry, Tyreek Hill is the guy that you should be sure that you're making happy ahead of Tua, and Tua owes a lot of his success to Tyreek Hill.
And we saw that last year because the question was when we had MVP conversations is same thing with Brock Purdy. Are other players making you look much better than you actually are? And that's why Tyreek Hill kept going up high on the MVP odds. And as Christian McCaffrey at one point was above Brock Purdy for MVP odds, as it was after the Baltimore Ravens game where the 49ers got absolutely crushed by the the 49ers got crushed by the Baltimore Ravens. The question is, what is Tua worth? Because if we look at the contracts now that quarterbacks are making, I mean, these are massive deals. The top two are getting paid $55 million per year. Jared Goff's making $53 million per year. Jalen Hurts at 51. Lamar Jackson, I think, at 52.5 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. None of those teams have the wideouts that the Miami Dolphins have. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
I think the closest is probably Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think that's probably the closest.
That's very close.
No, hold on. Also, we got to give some credit to A.J. Brown and A.J. Brown's. I think we have wide receiver contracts somewhere. If I could bring that up very briefly. Yeah, look.
A.J. Brown has a big contract.
Yeah, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who both have pretty large deals. But yeah, the Dolphins have two of the top 5 guys for wide receiver contracts. Yeah. And now I think Jalen Waddle's going to get
now they've added OBJ.
OBJ's on there now. So I don't think Tua is worth any one of those top deals. I think we talked about this before. I would put him in the $47 million range, $47 to $49 million, because I think you get paid based on the big-time games that you played in. I think Trevor Lawrence at least has won one playoff game. I think we could both agree on this, maybe he's getting paid a little bit too much.
I think so.
Joe Burrow made it to at least the Super Bowl and was this close to winning the Super Bowl, and he got paid. Jalen Hurts made it to a Super Bowl, and he got paid. Like, we see a couple of years, Jared Goff made it to an NFC championship and got paid. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, got paid. All these guys have a lot of accolades. Tua is just...
He's got Tyreek Hill and Jason Waddle.
He's a good player.
Jalen Waddle.
But I do think that you get paid based on what you have done. And in the big-time moments, Tua has not been a great quarterback.
He can't play in cold weather.
And I was just about to bring that up. Tua's career in cold weather is pitiful. We brought this up before. And people have said in our comment section that, you can't, there's no such thing as a cold weather team. The Dolphins as a team in their franchise's history are a 1-2 win-loss ratio in their entire franchise career, basically. Tua, in his career, has been horrible in cold weather. Now, some people are saying that he's 0-3 in games 40 degrees or below. I'll expand it 5 degrees more. Let's go to 45 degrees and below in his career. And this is the number. These are the numbers. He's 0-7. Take 0-3, double it, and add 1. So now he's 0-7. Completion percentage, 55.6. That's horrible. Passing yards a game, that's not bad at 241. Passing touchdowns, 8. Interceptions, 9. So he has a below 1 at least touchdown to interception ratio. Passer rating, 75.1. Offensively, the Dolphins score 16 points a game. So not only do the Dolphins play poor in cold weather, because their defense also gives up about 31, 32 points a game, offense is pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. Now, some of the teams that they played against, for instance, the Kansas City Chiefs last year, one of the coldest games in a very long time, the Dolphins got taken care of. The Chiefs kind of they moved the ball up and down the field as best they can, and the Dolphins had a problem getting first downs.
The Dolphins played well against the Chiefs in the regular season game in Europe.
Right. It's in Europe, not in 25-degree weather.
Yeah.
Not even 40-degree
weather. In the cold
weather.
the Dolphins are definitely frozen.
And the problem is that like 1 to 2 win-loss ratio is not in 45-degree weather. It's below 70 degrees. They have like 40 wins to 75 losses or something like that and 1 tie. So that's horrible. And you're going to pay Tua $55-56 million a year? Or you're going to pay him in the 50 plus when he himself isn't a very good player? I was taking a look at this earlier today. Screw the playoffs, right? So January, forget about it. Completely forget about it. Let's just do a split on games 13 plus. So after week 12, what are his numbers looking like? He's 2-3. I want to make sure this is for his career. He's 2 excuse me, no, it's not. Let's bring up his career now. That was last year. He was 2-3. In his career after game 13 or 13 after, he's 8-9 with 63% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 16 picks in his career. That is easily the worst win-loss ratio, the worst completion percentage by 5 points. The touchdowns, it's the only span where he has more than double-digit interceptions. The touchdowns below, besides weeks 1 to 4. Interceptions, the next highest is half of what he has after week 13. Tua, when it comes to late in the season, is just not good. And that's not, you can't dispute that. You can't say that's not true. The numbers speak for themselves. I'll bring it up one more time just to put more emphasis on this. This isn't really even adversity. This is you put a sweater on. You put a sweater on, Tua plummets. So it's not even like, oh yeah, he's playing against really good defenses. In the regular season, he's not good. Mm-hmm. In the playoffs, it's the AFC.
Here's one thing you haven't mentioned that's really important. I think he's had his bell rung several times.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah, in fact, they were talking about him maybe retiring.
Right.
Because of the injuries he's had.
He talked
and
to
the way
his
they
family about
managed him,
retiring,
too. They weren't fair to him. They put him back in games when he should have stayed out and recovered more from his concussions. So he's got that issue going for him, too. So I don't see the Dolphins have a lot to lose by not giving him a contract right now. He's going to play this year. He'll probably have a fantastic year, knowing that, hey, I didn't get my contract. I think I deserved it. I'm going to show these guys that generally a player in a contract year has a very good year if they're a really good player.
Right.
And they can franchise tag him, too. They could do that twice if they wanted to. So
I will give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think Tyreek Hill is the most important player on their team, and they better make sure he's happy.
Well, I'll say this. He, by far, best completion percentage last season of his career. By 1,100 yards, the most passing yards he's had in his career. He's had the most touchdowns, but he also had the most interceptions because it was very much on him. He threw 160. He threw his career highest for pass attempts was 400, and that was 2 years ago. Last season, he threw 560. And that's in large part due to the fact that you have so many good pieces around you. Your backfield is probably one of the best backfields, especially with HN. We remember the game. Remember this very early season he had, especially in that.
He had a 200-yard game. Right?
Was it 70-20 game against Denver where they just embarrassed them entirely? HN had a phenomenal game in that one. But you're right. Tyreek Hill, just like Christian McCaffrey, same argument, but I think. And then this might get a little controversial. I think Brock Purdy is probably a better quarterback than Tua.
Wow, that's generous of you. You've never been very complimentary of Brock Purdy.
I'm realistic. But I do think that Brock Purdy, while the situation has not been as poor as maybe Tua has dealt with, because they had that weird thing in his rookie year where it was Ryan Fitzpatrick plays, then Tua plays, then for a little bit, then Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in and plays. I think it was Brian Flores was the head coach at that time. They couldn't figure out what quarterback they wanted to play, so they played both at some times. That was a weird situation.
That never works.
Never works. If you have two quarterbacks, you really have zero.
At one time when I was younger, the Dallas Cowboys alternated quarterbacks on every play. Craig Morton and Roger Staubach. They did that for a number of games. They got criticized unbelievably. And finally, Tom Landry said, I'm going to pick one, and he picked Staubach.
I think that was the right decision.
Yeah, turned out to be.
So, yeah. I think realistically, well, let's give a number. I think Tua is probably going to go between, obviously he wants to get paid in the 50s because his counterpart is getting paid $55 million per year. And also Justin Herbert as well, same draft class there. And Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's getting paid $55 million. Justin Herbert's getting paid $50.
Joe Burrow got the Bengals to the Super Bowl.
Right. And Justin Herbert
Joe Burrow took some amazing hits and sacks in that run to the Super Bowl. It was like amazing. He was getting sacked 10 to 12 times a game. It was ridiculous, and he still got him to the Super Bowl. And as you say, it went right down to the wire. It came very close. Now, he's had some injury problems recently, and early in his career, too. He hurt his knee. So that bears watching, but that's a contract I think was worth giving, the one to Burrow. I think Lamar Jackson's contract is a very fair contract. I think Hurts' contract, that's okay. Goff, I think his contract was fine. Trevor Lawrence, I think, got overpaid a little bit. Tua, I don't think they'll give him the contract. I think they'll make him play for it this year. And even then, they may get the franchise tag.
So, there we go. So, give me a number. I got $49 million. But what would you
I don't think he's going to get the deal. I think it will. If they do it, it will be under $50 million.
Under $50 million. Yeah. Do you think that there's a situation where the Dolphins trade Tua?
No.
So eventually he's going to get paid. It might not be right now, but
maybe
at the end of this
year on a
year.
franchise tag. That would be 2 more years. Then they could really see what they have. Right?
I just don't want it for the Dolphins' sake. Don't be the Giants. Don't go based off one good year. Now, instantly, Tua is better than Daniel Jones 10 times over. Just don't let one anomalous year, I'm pretty sure that's a word, like Daniel Jones had, 15-5 compared to 6-2 or whatever. Just he had a horrible career up until that point. Now he just had 4,600 yards and 29 touchdowns on 69% completion percentage. Don't make the same decision. It's smart not to pay him this year because he had one tremendous year with great talent. I think something that's very difficult to assess is how will he do if Tyreek Hill wants to go? Mm-hmm. If Jalen Waddle gets hurt, will he be good enough to raise the people around him?
Yeah, I think the other thing is he's kind of a one-dimensional player now. They're not going to let him run.
He won't let himself run.
Not after the concussions he's had. They know he's going to pass or hand it off. He's not going to scramble.
Right. So it's unfortunate that it came to this, but I think the Dolphins are right. They should not give him a market value deal because the market screams $55 to $60 million now. I think Dak will probably get that 60 number just because it's the Dallas Cowboys. Tua's not in the same stratosphere as any of the quarterbacks above.
I don't think Dak will get 60. I think 55.
I want to bring up the quarterback contracts again. I don't think he's in the stratosphere of any of these quarterbacks.
No, I don't either.
I think it's shadowed by the fact he has the fastest person with pads on in NFL history. I think it's shadowed by the fact that Jalen Waddle is let's bring it up now, a top 5 contract in the league because he's earned it very well. I think if you give him baseline talent, and by the way, I want to put emphasis on this. Justin Herbert got paid, I think it was $52.5 million, and he doesn't even have a receiver that's in the top 6 of wide receiver contracts. Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback in the league. He does not have a receiver within the top 6 of contracts that we just saw on that list. Yeah. Jared Goff has 1. Tua has 2.
I think it says a lot. I think that has
Jalen Hurts only has 1 in the top 6.
A big impact on how well Tua has played, having those 2 guys. And without them, he didn't have those kind of numbers.
He did not.
It's only when Hill arrived that he suddenly was lights out there throwing the ball.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.